What up, guys? So I've been without a bilge pump for a long time, and I'm ready to figure out why. I didn't even know I had one. This is my first boat, and I just figured some small boats don't have them. But then somebody has helped me install my new engine and opened this trap door here. Showed me I in fact do have a bilge pump down in here. It doesn't seem to work. I don't know why. So I'm starting the process of getting it working again. And here's what I have done. So the first thing I wanted to do is figure out what all the wires I have down here are doing. There's these three here. They're black, green, white, and they're coming out of a gray tube. I'm not sure what they do. Still not sure. We'll figure that out at some point. Then I have this one that is a white casing, and it's got a black, green, and white coming out as well. So I'm assuming this bridges over to do something else wherever the gray one hooks up. I don't know what that does though. Like, I have not figured that out. I had two reds wired into this white coming out. So this is obviously supposed to be power, and then negative, and then the green one, don't know what the green one's supposed to do. Power coming off of, but that's so confusing, isn't it? So I have two powers coming off the foot switch. So where I'm at now is I want to figure out if we have power even coming back here. So I looked at these guys, and I took my multimeter and tested them, and I put it on the positive, and we got nothing, right? So I was very confused. I tested that one, I tested this other positive coming out, and there's nothing. And I'm just kind of like, what the hell? Okay, I know my wiring is rough looking, please don't judge. But what I did see is I found that I do have two of these white tubes down here with the black, green, and white coming out of them. This first one here is connected, the white and black are connected directly to the power in here. And I checked to make sure those have power. Black on negative. And there you go, you see 13.5. A lot of juice coming. So then, that's cool. So I'm like, that must go directly to the battery. So this one must be what runs back to the bilge pump, right? Where is it going? Well, I will show you where it's going. So the black here is going to the negative. The green is going to a positive, which is interesting. And then the red, that's interesting. So it's sending two positives and a negative back, but they're colored differently. All right, I'll take note of that. So anyway, the red, the white that comes out is going to this butt splice here, goes to a red, right? Now I followed the red. This is the power, goes all the way up to a switch, right? It's up here on a switch. Which switch? Which switch? This one. So I turned that on. There was still no power coming back to the bilge pump. But I noticed that the connector to the power, which is these guys, see, that's what makes the switch work. Power gets turned on, connects these two together when you flip the switch. There was not one of these on here. There was only the wire that goes to the bilge pump. This was not, so there was no power being connected when I flipped the switch. I plugged that in, and now when I turn this switch on, so I should have filmed this when I was doing it, but I was just in the heat of the moment. I replaced the this bar here, this bridge, with this. I've had this sitting around forever, but I was too intimidated to do it. I didn't know wiring, but messing around with the wires for the bilge pump, I got more comfortable with it. It was pretty simple. So there was down here was the positive and negative from the battery. Then any grounds I needed to wire were in here, and any positives were in here. It's that simple. There was a lot of exposed metal, and I just was not comfortable with that. So this one was pretty straightforward. positive from the battery, negative from the battery, as you can see they're labeled, and then 12 negative or grounding screws, and then 12 power screws, 12 volts. And it requires a 15 amp, well, it just requires a fuse, but it came with a 15, so I just did all 15s for any of these to actually work. So yeah, it's safer, smarter, better, good idea. Now I've wired the pump to this one, as we saw. I got a new Bilge pump here. Got the old one out. It was pretty crusty, pretty dang gross, and maybe repairable, but I figured why not just get a freshie. This is 70 bucks for one that's 11. This one was pumping 1250. This one pumps 1100 gallons. That's plenty for my uses. I mean, I've gone a year without any pump at all. The mount that goes into those two side pieces, I've screwed in down here. I've got one more screw to go. I put the silicone sealant on the screw before I put it in. I just go around the whole screw like that. This is the flooring here. It's obviously been screwed in before, so I put some sealant in where those screws were. And then I just, with a screwdriver, just manually screw it right in to it. No need to drill. And it's, those three are holding it fine, but I'm gonna put a fourth one in. Yeah. All right, so tested the pump with ground and power to the power switch, right? Turn that on. Pump is making noise, that's good. But there's two powers coming out of this cable here, and or attached to this one main power coming out, right? So one power cord is coming up here, this white one, and then that is split to these two here. So I figure one goes to the pump, which I just tested and that works, and then the other goes to the foot switch. And then the foot switch will be powered here as well, so that when the switch is floated up, it's going to send power up here into this place here where all these are together. So instead of power coming from the switch flipped on the console, it's going to come from the foot switch into this brown, and then it can travel down. That's what I think it's supposed to do, but I don't have power. So I see this green one on the other side. I think that could be a second power out without a switch, a direct power. So I'm going to try hooking that up right now. You see here, got this green one coming out. It's not hooked up to anything, and I don't know why. That's coming from the main battery terminal, which is weird. But this green one is hooked up to the power switch. So actually that green's controlled by the switch too. That doesn't seem right. I feel like maybe I should, oh no, that green's hooked up to nothing. I just taped it over. So I'm gonna hook that directly up to some power. I think that should be good, and it'll send it straight to the back there. Just didn't know what to do with this earlier. Now I do. All right, so there should be power going to that green wire on the other side now. Let's test that out. Leaving my meter in the sun messed with the display. It's hard to read. I didn't set a ground, or I didn't leave my ground exposed, so I wonder if I could just touch any metal here and get a decent ground. Oh yeah, there's power. Plenty of power come through there. That should work. Okay, so we get our power to our pump here. I'm not sure how well this is going to protect. I don't think it's for waterproofing, but it makes me feel better. So we got our initial power there. So this plastic shit melts out. I think that's good. Let's check it out. Pump is working. All right. Well, I did it. I wired the green one here. And before I went and heat sealed it, I wanted to test it. So we got this gray. Goes from that power I wired up that we tested a second ago, goes into the switch, float switch. And then this one runs from there up to the Let's follow it again. Up to this brown power, right? And both these brown powers are coming off the main power. So we got one, the main power has the switch. And then anyway, they all connect there so that it can come from the foot switch, or it can come from up here to the, from the console switch. And yeah, I pull the float up, pump runs. Screwing things on and ready to place them down in their mounts here. All set. If I flip the float switch, runs, and then I flip the switch, it's running. Sweet. Now I guess I just need to go drop her in and test it out.